Did you know that more than 17,000 liters of blood were used in this scene from It Too? Get ready to enjoy 1 hour of curious movie facts that will surprise you. First, don't forget to subscribe to Zarpedo for more curiosities. Let's get started. This Candyman scene, Tony Todd had to fill his mouth with real bees. He was stung several times, but his professionalism allowed the scene to be filmed flawlessly. To play Catwoman in Batman Returns, Michelle Pfeiffer had to wear a vacuum-sealed suit, meaning no contact with air, which made it difficult for her to move and breathe. The actress described the experience as stifling and claustrophobic. The filming of The Conqueror took place in a location with high levels of radiation in the Snow Canyon Desert in Utah, ignoring warnings about the potential risks. Decades later, the cast and crew suffered terrible consequences with a high number of cases of cancer. John Wayne, the main character who played Genghis Khan, died of stomach cancer, along with 91 other people out of the 220 who participated in the film. The film The Silence of the Lambs was the first and only horror film to date to win the Academy Award for Best Picture. It won 7 Oscars in 1992. The 1960 film Psycho is not only a classic horror film, but it was also groundbreaking in many ways. One of them, which is perhaps not as widely known, is that it was the first film in which a toilet was shown. The film American Gigolo not only cemented Richard Gere as a sex icon, but also launched the then little-known fashion designer Giorgio Armani to fame. Gere's impeccable wardrobe in the film, made entirely of Armani pieces, captivated the public and critics, catapulting the Italian designer to international stardom with his well-known brand. In the famous film Black Swan, Natalie Portman had to pay for her own ballet classes to dance in the film before her hiring was confirmed. In the film Twilight, we find a special cameo by the author of the saga, Stephenie Meyer. During a scene in a restaurant in which Bella and Charlie share a meal, we can see in a wide shot a woman dressed with red hair and black hair and using a laptop. That woman is none other than Stephenie Meyer. In the film Desperate, director Robert Rodriguez confessed in an interview that the day they filmed the love scene between Salma Hayek and Antonio Banderas, the entire production team showed up to watch the scene. However, Robert didn't let anyone pass, except obviously the actors, himself and the screenwriter. The character who inspired It, the terrifying clown from Stephen King's novel, is John Wayne Gacy, a serial killer who dressed up as a clown to attract his victims. He murdered 33 young people between 1972 and 1978. In the film The Revenant, Leonardo DiCaprio plays Hugh Glass, a trapper who is brutally attacked and left for dead in the vast wilderness of North America. To bring this character to life, despite being a vegetarian, DiCaprio decided to eat a piece of real bison liver for one of the scenes in the film. In addition to this, DiCaprio learned to shoot muskets, light campfires, and speak 2 Native American languages. In the movie Pretty Woman, there is a prank scene where Richard Gere gives Julia Roberts a diamond necklace and suddenly closes the case, causing her to burst out laughing. This was an improvisation. Gere came up with that little joke to break the solemnity of the scene, but Julia Roberts' natural reaction was so cute that they decided to leave it in the movie. In the French movie Amélie, the adorable protagonist played by Audrey Tautou has a scene that has become one of the most iconic in the movie, but it hides a secret. Tautou did not know how to bounce stones in water in real life, which is why they had to use special effects for this scene. The face of Ariel, the iconic Disney mermaid, holds a fascinating secret. She was inspired by the beauty of one of the most popular actresses of the time, Alyssa Milano, known for her role in the series Charmed, was considered a beauty icon in the 1980s. Chris Pratt, known for his role as Star-Lord in the film Guardians of the Galaxy, is not only a hero in fiction, but also in real life. In a show of kindness and empathy, Pratt decided to wear his suit from the set to visit sick children in hospitals. What a beautiful gesture, right? Many fans of Pulp Fiction have wondered how Mia Wallace, Uma Thurman, comes back to life after a heroin overdose. The scene where Vincent Vega, John Travolta, injects her heart with adrenaline has a fascinating editing trick. Vincent is actually taking the syringe out of Mia's body. The scene was filmed normally and then rewound to create the illusion that Vincent is injecting her with adrenaline. The scene in Aliens Resurrection, where Ellen Ripley, played by Sigourney Weaver, shoots a basketball was not a camera trick. Weaver herself executed the shot with admirable precision, capturing the surprise and delight of the audience. In a memorable scene from the film Fight Club, Brad Pitt and Edward Norton's characters embark on soap making. What many don't know is that the actors didn't just act out the scene, they actually learned how to make soap on the set. On Oscar night 2022, Troy Kotsur became the first deaf actor to win the statuette for Best Supporting Actor for his role in the film CODA. Want to know 3 movies that made the mistake of showing a recording camera? Let's start with Gladiator, where during a scene in the Colosseum, you can see a modern camera in the back. Then in The Matrix, you can see a camera reflected in a mirror. And finally, in Back to the Future 3, you can see someone pushing a cart where the camera that records the sequence is. Contrary to popular belief, Tinkerbell's face was not inspired by Marilyn Monroe. The real inspiration for Tinkerbell's face was Margaret Carey, an American actress and dancer. In the movie Deadpool, Stan Lee, the legendary comic book creator, has a cameo as a DJ at a striptease. Dooley Wilson, the actor who played the memorable Sam in the movie Casablanca, was a renowned professional drummer. However, a curious fact that many don't know is that he didn't know how to play the piano. In the iconic scenes in Casablanca where Sam plays the piano, Wilson faked the movements while a professional pianist played off-screen. In the movie The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Steve Carell personally experienced an actual chest waxing session for a specific scene in the film. His reactions and screams of pain during the scene were completely genuine, adding authenticity to the acting and the situation depicted on screen. During the 2017 Oscar ceremony, La La Land was mistakenly announced as the Best Picture winner before the error was corrected, and the real winner was revealed to be Moonlight. Ever wondered how many balloons are in the flying house in Up? There were a total of 10.297 balloons lifting up Carl Fredrikssen's house. The French short film Le Manoir du Diable, The Devil's Mansion, released in 1896, is recognized as the first horror film in history. This work by Georges Méliès, lasting just 3 minutes, begins with a giant bat flying into a gloomy mansion. The bat transforms into Mephistopheles, the devil who conjures a woman. In a nostalgic scene to film Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, Chris Pratt returned to Maui in Hawaii, where he lived in a van 20 years before the film. In the film Moonlight, Naomi Harris confessed in an interview that she filmed all her scenes in the film in just 3 days because she had visa problems. And the most surprising thing is that she was still nominated for Best Supporting Actress at the Oscars. The famous singer Whitney Houston was a producer of the film The Princess Diaries, and there she met the famous actress Anne Hathaway. The famous actor Leonardo DiCaprio was about to play Max in Hocus Pocus, but finally rejected the role to film This Boy's Life and What's Eating Gilbert Grape, a decision that led to his first Oscar nomination. The role of Max in Hocus Pocus ended up in the hands of Omri Katz. In the iconic attic scene from Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, Tippi Hedren faced a terrifying experience. Live birds were strapped to her, and more were thrown at her while filming. This was due to an unexpected change in the original plan, which called for fake birds. In an unfortunate mix-up during the filming of The Hateful Eight, Kurt Russell ended up smashing a 140-year-old guitar instead of the props that had been set up for the scene. Novelist Truman Capote, creator of Breakfast at Tiffany's, was not satisfied with Audrey Hepburn's portrayal of Holly Golightly in the film version. His original wish was for Marilyn Monroe, who ultimately declined the role. to play the character. The year 1935 marked a milestone in film history with the release of Becky Sharp, the first color film. Becky Sharp stands out for its captivating narrative and impeccable production. The story revolves around Becky Sharp, an ambitious young woman who seeks to climb the social ladder in 19th century England. It was nominated for an Oscar for Best Picture. In The Wizard of Oz, the actor who played the Cowardly Lion, Bert Lahr, wore a lion's suit made of real fur. This suit weighed about 45 kilograms and was extremely uncomfortable. Sylvester Stallone went to the hospital during the filming of Rocky IV, released in 1985, due to an injury caused by Dolph Lundgren, who played Ivan Drago in the film. During the fight scene between Rocky Balboa and Ivan Drago, Lundgren hit Stallone so hard in the chest that Stallone suffered a severe heart attack and was in intensive care for 9 days. In the film E.T. the Extraterrestrial, the candy that E.T. eats in the Halloween scene is a Reese Pieces brand of chocolate candy from the Hershey Company. The candy brand paid Universal Studios $1 million for advertising. A year later, sales of these candies increased by 63%. In the film The Man in the Iron Mask, Leonardo DiCaprio played both Louis XIV and his twin brother, the prisoner in the Iron Mask. To differentiate himself, DiCaprio wore a curlier wig for the king and a straighter one for the prisoner. In 2003, Hayao Miyazaki's Spirited Away became the first and only non-Western animated film to win an Oscar for Best Animated Feature. This film was Japanese. Sam Raimi, known for directing the original Spider-Man trilogy, has a peculiar tradition, including a lucky car in each of his films. This vehicle, an Oldsmobile Delta, has made cameos in films as diverse as Evil Dead, Darkman, Spider-Man, and even in his Western, The Quick and the Dead, where its presence seems incongruous with the period. The scene in Forrest Gump, in which Jenny Curran is lying on the ground outside her house, is inspired by the famous painting Christina's World by Andrew Wyeth. In the memorable scene in Speed, where Keanu Reeves runs towards the mine bus, an accidental crash by the actor into the door shattered the glass. Far from discarding the shot, director Jan de Bont kept it for the final version of the film. The horse head scene in the film, The Godfather, is considered one of the most memorable and shocking in film history. However, what many don't know is that the horse head used in the scene was real. Director Francis Ford Coppola, seeking greater realism, decided to replace the fake head that had been originally planned with that of a real horse. Actor John Marley, who played Woltz, was not informed of the change, so his shocked reaction is genuine. In the film Psycho, director Alfred Hitchcock appears in the film, making a cameo by walking right through the window at the beginning of the film. Although Audrey Hepburn is remembered as an icon of elegance and style, there are rumors that during the filming of Roman Holiday, she had a secret affair with her co-star, Gregory Peck. Hepburn was married at the time, but she and Peck maintained a platonic and professional relationship. Although Tom Cruise is known for his roles in action films such as Top Gun and Mission Impossible, his first film role was in Endless Love, a love film where he played a supporting character. Gene Wilder accepted the role of Willy Wonka in the film Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory only if he was allowed to give the character a personal touch. For example, in this scene, he wanted him to limp out of the factory and then surprise everyone with an unexpected somersault. No one knows if he is lying or telling the truth. A little secret behind Call Me By Your Name. In the fireplace scene, Timothée Chalamet was wearing a hearing aid. Its purpose? Listening to the song that appears in the movie and being able to react to it naturally. In order to make it invisible, it was removed with a CGI program. On the set of Sherlock Jr., there's a scene where Buster Keaton is hit by a jet of water with such force that he fractures his neck. Despite the blow, he felt no pain and continued filming the movie. Years later, an X-ray revealed a shocking surprise, a neck fracture dating back to that time. In The Lion King, in the scene where Simba lies down on the hillside and the flowers fly around forming the word sex, some viewers mistakenly interpreted it as a subliminal message. However, the animators explained that the word was SFX, a tribute to the team's special effects. Pierce Brosnan is known for playing James Bond in the classic tuxedo. However, what many do not know is that Brosnan signed a contract until 2005 that prohibited him from wearing a tuxedo in other films during his time as James Bond. The reason was simple, so as not to dilute his image as James Bond. Singer Courtney Love has repeatedly insisted that Quentin Tarantino had offered the role of drug dealer Lance, played by Eric Stoltz in Pulp Fiction, to her late husband Kurt Cobain, the frontman of Nirvana. In a scene from Fight Club, Edward Norton actually punches Brad Pitt in the ear. Brad's shocked reaction is genuine, as he was not expecting the punch. In black and white cinema, blood can be any color. In the film Psycho, chocolate was used to simulate blood. In the film Now You See Me, actress Isla Fisher nearly drowned in the middle of filming with the cast while she was shooting a scene of an underwater magic trick. An unfortunate accident during the filming of Move Over Darling left Doris Day with 2 broken ribs. James Garner accidentally hurt her by picking her up during a scene. In the film The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, the actor who played Gollum, Andy Serkis, is the same actor who played King Kong in the 2005 film King Kong. In the film The Godfather, the scene where Vito Corleone is attacked on the street was filmed without permission on a real street in New York. The iconic brown satchel with the inscription "Bad Mother" in black letters that Jules carries in the film Pulp Fiction belongs to director Quentin Tarantino himself. The film The Theory of Everything tells the life of renowned physicist Stephen Hawking and his relationship with Jane Hawking. Eddie Redmayne's performance in the role of Hawking was so incredible that even Hawking himself, who was so moved by the performance, lent him his original voice and his signed thesis to be used in the film. Although it's hard to believe, the cat featured in this scene from The Godfather was a stray cat that was hanging around the recording studio, so director Coppola rescued it and included it in the film. During the filming of The African Queen in the Congo, Audrey Hepburn and all the actors became ill from drinking the water here. Only John Huston and Humphrey Bogart did not get sick. The 1971 film A Clockwork Orange was banned in the UK for 30 years due to its violent content. The legendary line, "Hasta la vista, baby," uttered by Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator 2 Judgment Day, was not part of the original script, but was improvised by Arnold. The film Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom was the first film in the Indiana Jones saga not to be directed by Steven Spielberg. In the film Forrest Gump, the titular character, played by Tom Hanks, appears in archive footage alongside President John F. Kennedy. To achieve this effect, the technique of image superimposition was used, combining Hanks's performance with real images of President JFK. Blue Velvet has several references to Abraham Lincoln. For example, the apartments shown in the film are located on Lincoln Street, and in addition, there is a character named Frank Booth, who has the same surname as the person who killed the former president. Lincoln, John W. Booth. Ever wonder who inspired Flynn Rider from Tangled? Aspects like the hair is based on Brad Pitt's hair, and the chin is inspired by the famous Tom Hardy. The film The Matrix had a significant impact on fashion and popular culture. The film's cyberpunk fashion style, characterized by black leather coats, futuristic-style sunglasses, and industrial aesthetics, influenced streetwear and fashion design in the 1990s. During the scene in the 1998 film The Big Lebowski, in which the dude played by Jeff Bridges beats a Corvette with a stick, Bridges accidentally broke one of the car's headlights. His shocked reaction is genuine, and the scene was kept in the film. Julia Roberts was the first actress to earn $20 million for a movie for her role in Erin Brockovich in 2000. During the pool party scene in La La Land, Ryan Gosling actually played the piano live without any editing tricks or stunt doubles. Gosling underwent months of intensive training to learn how to play the jazz pieces featured in the film. In the movie Titanic, the scene where the ship splits in two was filmed in a giant water tank. You've probably enjoyed the iconic 1993 film Jurassic Park on numerous occasions. However, you may have never noticed an intriguing detail. The actors who were the couple playing Ellie Sattler and Dr. Alan Grant, 26-year-old Laura Dern and 45-year-old Sam Neill at the time, were 19 years apart in age, even though it may not seem like it. The three Psycho films, The Silence of the Lambs and The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, were all inspired by serial killer Ed Gein. For example, in Psycho, Norman Bates bears similarities to Gein, such as his unhealthy relationship with his mother and his fascination with human body parts. At the closing ceremony of the 2000 Sydney Summer Olympics, a special guest stole the show. The tour bus Priscilla, star of the film The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. Her presence was not only a striking visual spectacle, but also a powerful statement of pride in Australian popular culture. Howard the Duck was considered by many to be one of the worst films ever. It was a box office failure, grossing only $37 million against a $35 million budget. In addition, it won 4 trophies for Worst Screenplay, Worst Visual Effects, and Worst Picture. The film Dallas Buyers Club has achieved something remarkable. It won the Oscar for Best Makeup on a budget of just $250. The film tells the story of Ron Woodruff, a man who contracts AIDS in the 1980s and embarks on a fight against the system to gain access to medication. So makeup artist Robin Matthews was faced with the challenge of transforming McConaughey and Jared Leto into terminally ill AIDS patients on a ridiculous budget. In the film Tangled, during the song I Have a Dream, we can see a very special cameo. None other than Pinocchio, the famous Disney puppet, appears free and without strings on Flynn Rider's head. Lorenzo di Bonaventura, producer of The Last Stand, had worked with General Motors on all the films in the Transformers saga. That is why in the film The Last Stand starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, thanks to this relationship with General Motors, 6 precious Corvettes were made available to the production for the filming of The Last Stand. In the film The Man Who Knew Too Much, Doris Day performs the iconic song, Whatever Will Be, Will Be. However, what many do not know is that the actress was not at all convinced by the song. Doris Day refused to record it, considering it the worst song she ever heard in her life. Despite this, the song won the Oscar for Best Song. For lovers of Greek mythology and classic Disney films, there is a fascinating secret that unites 2 seemingly disparate characters: Ariel, the adorable mermaid from The Little Mermaid, and Hercules. Ariel is the daughter of King Triton, who in turn is the son of Poseidon. On the other hand, Hercules is the son of Zeus, Poseidon's brother, so Hercules is Ariel's uncle. If you're a keen observer, you've probably noticed a striking similarity between 2 very different movies, The Shining and Toy Story. Specifically, the rugs featured in the horror film and in Sid Phillips's room in the animated film are nearly identical. Actress and singer Jodie Benson is known for bringing 2 iconic characters of popular culture to life: Barbie, the world's most famous doll, and Ariel, Disney's mermaid princess. In the Oscar-winning film Slumdog Millionaire, young Jamal Malik stars in a memorable scene by jumping into a pit of excrement on the streets of Mumbai. What many don't know is that the pit did not contain real excrement, but rather a mixture of peanut butter and chocolate. Despite not being real excrement, the mixture of peanut butter and chocolate was not to the liking of actor Dev Patel, who played Jamal. Patel mentioned that the taste was horrible and that he had a hard time swallowing it. When Michelle Rodriguez was cast as Letty Ortiz in the first installment of Fast and Furious, her relationship with the automotive world was, to say the least, incipient. Far from being an expert in driving cars, the actress did not have a driver's license. She got one during the production of the film. At first glance, Samara Morgan, the little girl from The Ring, and Lilo Pelikai, the adorable protagonist of Lilo and Stitch, seem like completely different characters. However, behind these 2 very different figures lies the talent of one actress, Davy Chase. In the 2002 film Spider-Man, Stan Lee, the creator of the character, makes a cameo buying food at a stand. Ever wondered which princess the great Walt Disney liked the most? In an interview, Walt Disney revealed that Cinderella was his favorite princess. The scene that fascinated Walt the most was the costume change. Cinderella's transformation from a humble maid to a radiant princess was for him the embodiment of magic and a symbol of hope. Richard Linklater's film Boyhood was filmed over 12 years to capture the real growth of its main cast. These are Mason Evans Jr., the main character, from age 6 to 18. His mother, Olivia Evans, is played by Patricia Arquette, Samantha Evans, Mason's sister, and the father of the two brothers played by Ethan Hawke. It was filmed over 12 years with the same cast. The iconic black dress that Audrey Hepburn wore in the film Breakfast at Tiffany's sold at auction in 2006 for more than $900,000. It is one of the most expensive movie dresses ever sold. Anthony Hopkins only appears on screen for a total of 16 minutes and 20 seconds in The Silence of the Lambs, a film released in 1991. And the amazing thing is that he won an Academy Award for his portrayal of Dr. Hannibal Lecter, acting in such a short time. Johnny Depp, before becoming an actor, had a band called The Kids in the 1980s. Until at the age of 21, he made his first appearance in the world of cinema in the legendary 1980s film Nightmare on Elm Street. For the bullet time scene in The Matrix, 122 cameras in total were used, 120 fixed cameras, and 2 moving cameras to capture the action in slow motion. The famous DeLorean that stars in the Back to the Future trilogy has its origins in 1976, when industrial designer Giorgetto Giugiaro created the DMC-12 for the DeLorean Motor Company. The stainless steel-bodied sports car with gull-wing doors captivated the public with its futuristic and elegant design. However, its 2.8-liter V6 PRV engine did not perform as expected, and the company was involved in financial problems that led to bankruptcy in 1982. That is where enter filmmaker Robert Zemeckis. Fascinated by the DMC-12's design, he envisioned it as the perfect ship to house his idea for a time machine in the film Back to the Future. In the early 1980s, Tom Cruise, then a rising young actor, was up for the role of the young novice Adso, companion of the Franciscan friar William of Baskerville, in the film The Name of the Rose. However, the role ultimately went to actor Christian Slater, who played Adso in the 1986 film directed by Jean-Jacques Annaud. The film Network, released in 1976, is a cinematic masterpiece that has garnered numerous awards and recognitions. Among its most notable curiosities is the record for the shortest Best Supporting Actress in history, an honor held by actress Beatrice Straight for her masterful and brief participation of just 5 minutes and 2 seconds. Beatrice played Louise Schumacher, the grieving wife of the chairman of the UBS television network. The Jungle Book was the last animated film that Walt Disney personally supervised before his death in December 1966. It was released 10 months after his death, making it a tribute to his passion for animation. And it was a box office success too, with a budget of $4 million. The Jungle Book managed to gross $142 million. Christian Bale is known for his dedication to his characters and his ability to physically transform himself. For his role in The Machinist, Bale lost over 60 pounds and then gained over 90 pounds to play Batman in the Dark Knight trilogy. In the movie Django Unchained, there is a scene where Calvin Candy, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, is in the middle of an intense and emotional argument with another character, played by Christoph Waltz. In a moment of rage and desperation, Candy punches a table and accidentally breaks a glass with his hand. What makes this scene shocking is that DiCaprio's reaction was completely improvised and genuine. He actually cut his hand. In the acclaimed film Spider-Man: No Way Home, a seemingly inconsequential detail has captivated the most observant fans. The license plate number of the taxi that appears in a fleeting scene, 1228. This number, far from being random, hides a moving tribute to the legendary Stan Lee, creator of the iconic superhero, as it is his date of birth. December 28th. In the film Rambo: First Blood, the character of Colonel Sam Troutman was originally to be played by Kirk Douglas, a legendary actor admired by Sylvester Stallone himself, who played John Rambo. However, Douglas was not able to play the role, and Richard Crenna was eventually hired almost at the last minute and before filming began. But Stallone and Douglas crossed paths again in the comedy Oscar Hands Off. Christopher Nolan, director of Interstellar, instead of using special effects or CGI to create the setting for this film, Nolan decided to grow 500 acres of corn in Alberta, Canada for the film. At the end of filming, Nolan not only had a real and unique setting, but he was also able to sell the harvested corn. This allowed him to recoup part of the initial investment and even make a profit. Disney's The Lion King was partly inspired by Shakespeare's Hamlet. In Hamlet, Prince Hamlet struggles to avenge his father's death and faces moral and ethical dilemmas in the process. In The Lion King, Simba is forced to confront his uncle Scar, who usurps the throne and is responsible for the death of his father, King Mufasa. During the filming of Schindler's List, which was released in 1993, Steven Spielberg refused to take his salary as director and donated the money to the Shoah Foundation, which helps preserve the memory of the Holocaust, as the film was about the Holocaust. The relationship between the characters of Indiana Jones, played by Harrison Ford, and his father, Henry Jones Sr., played by Sean Connery, is curious because in real life there is only a 12-year age difference between the two actors, which is not much. In the film Star Wars: A New Hope, the actor who played Darth Vader, David Prowse, was not the same person who voiced him. Darth Vader's voice was provided by James Earl Jones. Princess Tiana from The Princess and the Frog not only shares Annika Noni Rose's voice, but also many of her physical and personal characteristics. Disney animators were inspired by the actress to bring the character to life. In the film The Shining, the iconic scene where Jack Torrance chases Wendy with an axe was filmed over 3 days. Director Stanley Kubrick wanted the scene to feel real and exhausting, so he did not use doubles. Despite being a relatively young actress at the time, at just 23 years old, Julia Roberts played a pivotal role in the success of the film Pretty Woman. She was responsible for convincing Richard Gere, who had initially turned down the lead role, to finally join the project. To achieve this, Roberts even traveled to New York for a personal meeting with Gere, where she finally managed to persuade him. Despite its current fame, The Wizard of Oz was not an immediate box office success upon its release in 1939. Like Cleopatra, it was an extremely expensive film for the time, and it took a long time to recoup the initial investment. It was not until almost 2 decades after its release that it finally managed to turn a profit. In West Side Story, 2 roles for 2 major world figures were rejected. Elvis Presley was considered for the lead role of Tony. However, his agent dissuaded him from accepting the role, and he would later regret it. Natalie Wood, on the other hand, was not the initial candidate for the role of Maria. This was to be played by Audrey Hepburn, but the actress, pregnant with her husband, the actor Mel Ferrer, was forced to reject the offer. In the film Death Race, we can see a detail that pays homage to a classic motor racing film, The 24 Hours of Le Mans. Jason Statham's character, nicknamed Frankenstein, wears a racing suit that bears a great resemblance to the one worn by Steve McQueen in the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The similarity is so evident that only the change of color differentiates the 2 suits. Stephen King is the author with the greatest number of film adaptations of his works. This American writer, known as the Master of Terror, has seen 314 of his works transformed into films, television series, and miniseries. Without a doubt, the most iconic is It or The Shining. Before Keanu Reeves was offered the role of Neo in The Matrix, top-level actors such as Will Smith, Brad Pitt, Val Kilmer, and Nicolas Cage turned down the role. Will Smith turned it down to star in Wild Wild West, which he considers one of his biggest mistakes in his career. The scene in Forrest Gump, in which Forrest runs through a field during his transcontinental journey, was filmed in Monument Valley, on the border between Arizona and Utah. This location has been used in many famous films, including several classic westerns. Samsung created a Matrix-themed cell phone. The Matrix phone was created specifically for the film Matrix Reloaded, which debuted in 2003. After its appearance in the film, only 5,000 units were produced that had the ability to make calls. With a budget of around $200 million, The Gray Man is positioned as the most expensive film ever made by Netflix. This production, directed by the Russo brothers, the same people responsible for Avengers Endgame, brings together a stellar cast headed by Ryan Gosling, Chris Evans, and Ana de Armas. Jim Jarmusch's Only Lovers, Left Alive has a great curiosity in vampires' wardrobe: their wigs. Far from using traditional wigs, the actors who played vampires in the film wore special wigs that combined human hair with yak and goat hair. The film Armageddon, which is about a space mission to save planet Earth from an asteroid, is part of NASA's training program. During the screening of the film, future employees of the space agency must look for scientific and technical errors in the plot and scenes. To date, 168 errors have been detected. To play Captain Jack Sparrow in the Pirates of the Caribbean saga, Johnny Depp was inspired by Keith Richards, the guitarist of the Rolling Stones. The kiss scene between Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal in Brokeback Mountain hides an incredible secret. What many do not know is that Ledger grabbed Gyllenhaal's head so hard to kiss him that he almost broke his nose. Legendary actor Sean Connery, known for his role as James Bond, passed up the opportunity to take part in some of the most successful films in history. These include the role of Morpheus in The Matrix, the role of Gandalf in Lord of the Rings, and he could have been John Hammond in Jurassic Park. Rami Malek, who played Freddie Mercury in the film Bohemian Rhapsody, was not a fan of Queen before taking on the role. In fact, he confessed to not knowing many of their songs. However, during the filming process, Malek completely immersed himself in Mercury's life and work, which led him to become a true admirer of the band. Barbra Streisand is the first woman in history to direct, write, produce, and star in the same film, which was called Yentl. The story of Yentl revolves around a young Jewish girl played by Barbra Streisand, who, in the 19th century, disguises herself as a man in order to study the Talmud, something forbidden to women in her community. Jennifer Lee is a talented screenwriter and director who achieved incredible things. In 2013, she co-directed Frozen with Chris Buck, becoming the first woman to direct a Disney animated film. But that's not all. With Frozen, she also became the first woman to direct a film that grossed over $1 billion at the box office. The character of Indiana Jones was created by George Lucas and Steven Spielberg as an homage to the adventure serials of the 1930s. The character is based on archaeologists and explorers such as Hiram Bingham, who discovered the lost city of Machu Picchu in 1911. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, Robert Downey Jr. found himself in a spiral of addictions that led to his arrest on several occasions and being blacklisted in Hollywood. In 2005, the film Kiss Kiss Bang Bang came into his life like a lifeline. Director Shane Black, a personal friend of Downey Jr., gave him the opportunity to play Harry Lockhart, a private detective with a troubled past. This gave the actor the chance to prove that he still had talent and that he could be sober and work professionally. Famous actor Nicolas Cage is actually the nephew of acclaimed film director Francis Ford Coppola, who directed very famous films such as The Godfather. However, he chose to use a different stage name to distance himself from his famous uncle. His real name is Nicholas Kim Coppola. The top 3 movies that have won the most Oscars are 3 movies that won 11 awards. The first of these movies is The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. Another movie that shares this honor is Titanic, directed by James Cameron. And last but not least is Ben-Hur from 1959. which follows the life of a Jewish nobleman in the times of the Roman Empire. It also managed to take home 11 Oscars. Do you know what the most profitable movie in history is? It is the movie Paranormal Activity. This independent horror movie, released in 2007, had an extremely low production budget of around $15,000 to $20,000, which is extraordinarily cheap for a Hollywood movie. Despite this modest budget, the movie managed to gross over $193 million worldwide, making it the most profitable movie in history. Jennifer Lawrence, known for her role in The Hunger Games, once auditioned for the role of Bella Swan in the Twilight Saga, but lost the role to Kristen Stewart. During the filming of the opening scene in La La Land, the dance on the highway was filmed in just 2 days. A section of the highway was closed to film the scene, which was then digitally added to create the illusion of an empty road. The film Die Hard was initially intended to star Arnold Schwarzenegger. However, Schwarzenegger declined the role, leading to the casting of Bruce Willis to play John McClane. The Black Pearl, the ship made famous by the pirate Jack Sparrow, played by Johnny Depp, has finally sunk and now rests permanently on the seabed. This event took place in 2017 in the waters of the Antilles, located north of Venezuela, under mysterious circumstances. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was the first animated film in color and the first sound film produced by Walt Disney Productions in 1937. Eric Stoltz was originally cast to play Marty McFly from Back to the Future, but after filming several scenes, the producers decided he didn't fit the role and replaced him with Michael J. Fox. Although he is well known for being the 16th President of the United States, there is a fictional novel called Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter, which imagines Lincoln as a vampire hunter in his spare time. American actor known for his role in the film Gravity, George Clooney, created a tequila brand called Casamigos. The brand was sold for $1 billion in 2017. Avatar, released in 2009, is the highest-grossing film of all time, with a worldwide gross of over $2.9 billion. It was also one of the first films to use 3D motion capture technology. The film Forrest Gump was filmed in over 100 different locations, which included 55 days of filming in 6 different states in the United States. Scarlett Johansson is the highest-grossing actress in film history. Her films have amassed over $14 billion as of 2023 with, for example, the film Asteroid City. Have you ever wondered who the character of Yoda from Star Wars is inspired by? The creators of Star Wars designed Yoda to look like Albert Einstein. To play Stephen Hawking in The Theory of Everything, the actor not only lost 15 pounds, but also trained for 4 months to achieve the muscle control and posture of someone with motor neuron disease. Redmayne spent hours practicing in front of the mirror, learning to distort his face in just the right way to reflect the effects of the disease. Saludos Amigos, released in 1942, holds the title of Disney's shortest film, with a duration of only 42 minutes. The film was born in a particular context, World War II. In an effort to strengthen relations between the United States and Latin America, the American government financed a trip by Walt Disney and his team to South America. Quincy Jones was the one who suggested Oprah Winfrey to play Sophia in the film The Color Purple. Jones discovered the previously unknown Oprah Winfrey after seeing her on a local television show called AM Chicago while he was traveling. Her big screen debut not only earned her an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actress, but also cemented her as an influential figure in the entertainment world. Pocahontas, the Disney princess inspired by the true story of Matoka, a 17th century Native American woman, breaks the mold with a unique feature, a tattoo. It represents her lineage and her place within the Powhatan tribe. Before launching her career as a singer and actress, Selena Gomez auditioned for the role of Michi Torres in the Disney Channel movie Camp Rock. Although she did not get that role, she was cast to star in the hit Disney Channel series Wizards of Waverly Place, which premiered in 2007. Tom Hanks did not get paid for his performance in the film Forrest Gump. Instead, he received a percentage of the profits, which earned him over $70 million. Destino, a 6-minute surreal animated short film, is the result of a unique collaboration between Walt Disney and legendary painter Salvador Dali. This idea came about in 1944 when the two met at a party in Hollywood. Lilo and Stitch, the adorable 2002 Disney film, features a total of 12 Elvis Presley songs. From the classic Can't Help Falling in Love to the infectious rhythm of Burning Love. The film Dr. Strangelove is known for its dark satire about the Cold War and the threat of nuclear war. However, the film is also notable for the high salary received by one of its main actors. Peter Sellers, an actor known for his versatility, played 3 different characters in the film: the President of the United States, Captain Mandrake, and Dr. Strangelove. But what is most surprising is that Sellers was paid $1 million, a figure that represented approximately 55% of the film's total budget, which was estimated to be around $1.8 million. Pretty high, right? Arnold Schwarzenegger received a salary of $15 million for his role in Terminator 2: Judgment Day, released in 1991, making him the highest paid actor at the time. Despite being nominated several times, Leonardo DiCaprio won his first Best Actor Oscar only in 2016 for his role in the film The Revenant, and it is his only Oscar he has won to date. His acceptance speech went viral for her passionate defense of the environment, despite the great opportunity that meant participating in Jordan Peele's acclaimed film Get Out. Tiffany Haddish decided to reject the offer. The reason? Her refusal to participate in horror films. The iconic love story of The Notebook hides a much less romantic reality. Behind the on-screen chemistry between Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams was a relationship plagued by friction and tension. According to director Nick Cassavetes, the couple could not stand each other from the first moment. Gosling even asked that McAdams be replaced by another actress. Milan translates as wood orchid or magnolia, 2 flowers that appear frequently throughout the film. In addition, Mulan breaks the mold of traditional Disney princesses. She is not a princess of royal blood, but a humble young woman who lives with her family in a village far from the Chinese imperial city. The film Toy Story was the first film made entirely by computer. In the film Indiana Jones and the Lost Ark, the scene in which Indiana shoots the Egyptian swordsman was filmed without the knowledge of the actor who played the swordsman, the British Terry Richards. The reaction of surprise is real. In 2020, the animated film Tangled established itself as the most expensive in history, with a budget of $274 million. This figure positioned it above other major productions, such as Toy Story 4 and Frozen 2, consolidating its place on the podium of animation. Terrifier 2 arrived in theaters without great expectations. Its predecessor, Terrifier, did not achieve significant commercial success. However, Terrifier 2 found an unexpected avenue of success: the press. Media criticism of the explicit violence in Terrifier 2 generated widespread attention as audiences flocked to theaters to witness the terror with their own eyes and made it a hit. To play the Joker in Batman: The Dark Knight, Heath Ledger embarked on an extreme preparation process. He locked himself away for 6 weeks in a hotel room with no contact with anyone, where he devoted himself to reading comic books, studying psychopathic characters, and developing a voice and laugh unique to the character. Ledger managed to create a terrifying, unpredictable, and completely convincing character. His performance was considered by many to surpass the version of the Joker played by Jack Nicholson in the 1989 Batman film. The main character of the Toy Story film franchise was given the name Buzz Lightyear as a tribute to Buzz Aldrin, the astronaut who was part of the Apollo 11 mission and was the second human being to walk on the lunar surface. Hobbiton Park, located in the picturesque Matamata region of New Zealand's North Island, is an iconic tourist attraction that offers visitors the chance to immerse themselves in the magical world of The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Before embarking on the iconic role of Rachel Green in the series Friends, Jennifer Aniston made a significant career decision when she turned down an offer to join the cast of Saturday Night Live. The film Titanic cost more than the construction of the Titanic itself. The film Titanic, directed by James Cameron in 1997, had a production budget of around $200 million, while the construction of the Titanic in 1912 cost approximately $7.5 million. Before his film career, Dwayne Johnson was a successful professional wrestler known as The Rock in WWE. He has made a successful transition into the world of film and was the highest paid actor in the world between 2018 and 2019, earning $23 million in Jumanji. Actor Christopher Lee, known for his iconic roles in films such as Dracula, Lord of the Rings, and Star Wars, had a fascinating ancestry that included Charlemagne. Will Smith initially rose to fame as a rapper under the stage name The Fresh Prince. Later, he became a successful film and television actor, known for films such as Men in Black and The Pursuit of Happiness. Director and producer Ralph Nelson risked everything to make Lilies of the Field. Faced with a lack of financial support from United Artists, which only gave him $250,000 for the film, Nelson had to put up his own house as collateral. With so little money, he shot the film in just 14 days. The full name of Harry Potter, the protagonist of the series of books and films by J.K. Rowling, is Harry James Potter, James after his paternal grandfather. John Wick 2 immerses us in a fast-paced world of action, where Keanu Reeves rose to another level by performing around 90% of the action scenes, a true physical and mental challenge that required exhaustive preparation. 3 months of intense training in judo, jiu-jitsu, marksmanship, and driving helped him bring John Wick to life with unprecedented realism. With a budget of just $770,000, American Graffiti was shot without any big names in the cast. The film told the story of a group of young people who spent their last night together before going to college. At first, few believed in the potential of the film. However, directors George Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola saw something special in it. It was finally released in 1973 and became an unexpected hit, grossing more than $118 million worldwide. Do you want to know a mini marathon of Star Wars curiosities? The first of them is that the suits of the Wookiees, those imposing hairy beings, were made with human hair. In addition, the suit of Darth Vader, one of the most iconic villains in cinema, weighed around 50 pounds. In order to play him, David Prowse, the actor who brought him to life, had to undergo intense physical training. And finally, the design of the Millennium Falcon, Han Solo's spaceship, is inspired by the chili dog hamburger. The film The Irishman is the culmination of a project that legendary director Martin Scorsese had been cherishing for a decade. After years of fruitless negotiations with traditional film studios who demanded cuts in budget or length, Netflix agreed to finance the film without imposing restrictions, with a huge budget of $159 million and a long duration of more than 3 hours. In the film Kill Bill Volume 1, directed by Quentin Tarantino, we can find a surprise for fans of Pulp Fiction: the appearance of the character of Jules Winfield, played by Samuel L. Jackson. Jules' appearance is brief, where he can be seen in a scene set in a restaurant, where he talks with two men about the Bible. The history of cinema could have been different if Eddie Murphy had accepted the role of Winston Zeddemore that was offered to him in the film Ghostbusters. However, Murphy chose to turn down the offer and star in Beverly Hills Cop, a decision that significantly impacted his career. Ghostbusters became a box office hit and cemented Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and Harold Ramis as comedy stars. On the other hand, Beverly Hills Cop was also a huge success, catapulting Murphy into stardom as a leading actor. In 2004, actor John Heder burst onto the film scene with his iconic portrayal of Napoleon Dynamite in the independent comedy of the same name. However, he was paid a modest $1,000 for his starring role. This was because it was an independent production with a budget of just $400,000 that director Jared Hess had. Against all odds, the film became a smash hit, grossing over $46 million at the box office. 1991's Beauty and the Beast marked a milestone in film history by being the first animated film to be nominated for the Best Picture Oscar. To date, only 2 other animated films have managed to be nominated for Best Picture, Up and Toy Story 3, both from Pixar Animation Studios. Have you ever wondered how long Rapunzel's hair would be in real life? According to the animators themselves, Rapunzel's golden hair would reach 25 yards long and would have approximately 100,000 hairs. A truly impressive figure. As many know, Arnold Schwarzenegger, before his career as an actor and politician, was a famous bodybuilder who won the most prestigious bodybuilding contest in the world called Mr. Olympia 7 times during the 70s. Do you know what the first movie ever produced in Hollywood was? It was called In Old California, a silent film from 1910 directed by Griffith, known as the father of American cinema, who discovered a small town called Hollywood to make a film with the beautiful landscapes of the Old West. With a duration of 17 minutes, In Old California tells the story of a romance set in the period of the gold rush in California, where Jose Manuela, a rich landowner, falls in love with a young woman named Perdita, who was married to a town singer named Cortez. The South Korean film Parasites became the first and only non-English speaking film to win the Oscar for Best Film in 2019. It was about a poor family in Seoul who sees an opportunity to infiltrate as a chauffeur, private tutor, and housekeeper for a family on the rich side, the Kims and the Parks. Pirates of the Caribbean, On a Stranger Tides, released in 2011, holds the record for being the most expensive film ever made, with an estimated budget of over $412 million. These costs are due first to big names in the lead roles, such as Johnny Depp or Jeffrey Rush. Then they also decided to add 3D special effects. Do you want to know the richest actor or actress in Hollywood? Her name is Jamie Gertz, an actress from the 80s, and she has a net worth of $3 billion. This American actress is known for her roles in the films The Lost Boys with her role as Star, and in Less Than Zero, where she acted with the famous Robert Downey Jr. However, she made her fortune elsewhere. Jamie Gertz is married to the American tycoon Tony Ressler, and they share ownership of the Atlanta Hawks basketball team. Do you know who is the actor who made the most money from a single film? It's none other than Tom Cruise, with the film Top Gun, Maverick, released in 2022. In addition to holding the top spot, for this film the star received an advance of $14 million, in addition to agreeing that he would take part of the money that the film earns. Of the earnings, it is estimated that Tom pocketed more than $100 million, and Top Gun Maverick grossed $1,493 million worldwide. Do you know which was the first film to win the Big Five at the Oscars? Yes, it's called It Happened One Night, released in 1934. It won for Best Film of 1934, Best Screenplay, Best Director, who was Frank Capra, Best Actor, who was Clark Gable, and Best Actress. Claudette Colbert, who played a millionaire heiress who runs away from her father to get married, and on the trip meets Peter Warren, a journalist played by Clark Gable. There are several films in the film industry where the Hollywood sign appears in multiple films. Some of them are La La Land, a film where an aspiring actress and a jazz pianist meet and fall in love here. Also in the science fiction film called Blade Runner, or in the iconic Pretty Woman. Which is the film with the largest cast? The film Captain America: Civil War, released in 2016, has one of the largest casts in the history of cinema. Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., Scarlett Johansson, Don Cheadle, Elizabeth Olsen, Jeremy Renner, Paul Rudd, Tom Holland are just some of the actors. The first sound film in history is The Jazz Singer, an American film from 1927. Although it only had 2 minutes of spoken dialogue, it incorporated sequences with synchronized sound. This film told the story of Mr. Rabinowitz, who serves as a rabbi in a synagogue and longs for his son to follow in his footsteps once he retires, thus keeping alive the family tradition of 5 generations. However, his son has other interests. He is passionate about jazz. And that's all, folks. What fact surprised you the most? Don't forget to give it a like and subscribe for more awesome content.